Aloha! Today we took a 45-minute high-speed train from Sevilla Santa Justa train station. It cost 34 euros round trip per person, and we're looking forward to seeing some of the UNESCO World Heritage sites, exploring some romantic patios and narrow streets, and of course tasting some good food and some good wine. So we hope you'll take along with us as we explore the beautiful city of Cordoba.
We've summed up 5 things to do that are a must when visiting Cordoba. The city can be accessed by high-speed train from Madrid and Seville, and most of these things can be done as a day trip. However, we highly recommend an overnight stay to fully enjoy this beautiful city, especially at night and the early morning hours. We spent 3 full days in Cordoba, and yet there were still other sites just outside the city we would have loved to explore if we had more time.
Number 1. The Mosque-Cathedral of Cordoba. The whole historic city center of Cordoba was designated an UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1984, and at the heart of this designated area is the Mosque-Cathedral of Cordoba. There are over 500 columns and overlapping arches inside this extraordinary edifice, capturing the essence of Muslim legacy in Spain. We marveled at the beauty and engineering supporting this historic building as we walked around and explored the Great Column Room. This expansive prayer hall was built with recycled ancient Roman columns with a combination of 2-tiered symmetrical arches formed of white stone and red brick. The focal point in the prayer hall is the horseshoe arch mihrab. A mihrab is used in a mosque to identify the wall that faces Mecca. This mihrab is framed by a meticulously decorated arch behind which is the prayer niche. The arch is adorned with small pieces of glass with gold and various color backing, creating a striking color combination that left us in awe. Above the mihrab is an equally amazing dome built with an admirable engineering of arches and light portals and generously covered in exquisite gold mosaic. As we continued exploring the mosque features, a transition of architectures emerged as we moved towards the Via Viciosa Chapel. This was the original main chapel, consisting of a large Gothic nave and wooden coffered ceilings. Finally, at the center of the building, we arrived at the main Renaissance cathedral, which wasn't inserted until the 16th century. Here, the Renaissance-style nave and transept is a reminder of the history and transition of different cultures in Cordoba. Since this is a major attraction, we recommend you buy a ticket online in advance to get an early time slot.
Number 2. The Alcazar Fortress of the Christian Monarchs. The Alcazar de los Reyes Cristianos has a dark and varied history. It is where the Catholic monarchs reigned, and more infamously, it is where Isabella and Ferdinand established the first permanent tribunals of the Spanish Inquisition, and ultimately became the headquarters for the Inquisition campaign. As you enter the Alcazar, you first see some of the ruins of what used to be the prison. The south tour takes you through the Hall of Mosaics, where one can observe the intricate mosaic work depicting Eris and Psyche, Medusa, and the great geometric mosaic. We especially enjoyed walking the walls of the Alcazar and climbing the Tower of the Lions, where we were rewarded with panoramic views of the surrounding royal stables and the pools of the Alcazar gardens below. We spent a fair amount of time strolling around the gardens, enjoying the fountain pools and floral plantings, and wandering around the orange grove. Not to be missed at the far end of the fountain pools before exiting, we found the statues depicting Christopher Columbus's first meeting with Isabella and Ferdinand, soliciting support for his explorations.
Number 3. Walk the Roman Bridge. The view of the Mosque-Cathedral, the Porta del Puente, and the Roman Bridge from the south side of the Guadalquivir River is one of the most wonderful sights of Cordoba, especially at dawn and dusk. The bridge was first built in the 1st century AD, but has been rebuilt many times since then, and in its present form dates mainly from the medieval period, with the latest changes being made in 1876. A bit of Game of Thrones trivia is that the bridge was used to represent the Bridge of Atlantis from Season 5 onwards. We especially enjoyed the Albalafia woodlands, a protected natural area occupying 6 square kilometers surrounding the bridge. There is a wide variety of wildlife to observe, which was a welcome distraction from the more prominent sights in the city. As the sun sets, the mood of the bridge changes as musicians accompany the setting of the sun, transforming into a city of lights as nighttime falls. Number 4. Enjoy some good food and wine. Cordoban cuisine is by itself one of the biggest tourist attractions of the city. The Cordoban recipe book is infused with the essence of the different civilizations that have passed through these lands and have known how to make the most of the products from the region. Cordoba has a big culinary reputation thanks to the extensive offering and quality given by its taverns and restaurants. 3 dishes to try that are a must in Cordoba begins with the salmorejo, where a whole street is named after the dish. Berenjenas, califales, rebozadas, which became one of our favorites, and finally, the pastel cordobés, 2 layers of flaky puff pastry filled with a threaded squash jam. Also, one must try some of the local sherry that is famous in this region. Restaurants we enjoyed and highly recommend begins with La Posada del Caballo, Andaluz, where we especially enjoyed the alcachofas al morales, a wonderful combination of artichoke hearts with Iberian ham bathed in a salsa verde de vino blanco, a tender and flavorful solomillo iberico served with a salsa de Pedro Ximenez reduction, and of course the classic pastel cordobés. For nighttime ambience, we highly recommend Casa Pedro Ximenez. Make sure to reserve a rooftop terrace seating where you can enjoy an amazing view of the Mosque-Cathedral bell tower. We couldn't get enough of their berenjenas fritas con miel, and equally good was the ensalada topped with cold smoked salmon. And for a real treat, make a reservation at Steakhouse Montevideo restaurant, where the empanadas are a divine starter to a medium-cooked lomo alto from Galicia, accompanied by verduras a la brasa. And finally, for a classic patio lunch, we recommend Taberna Salinas, where we tried the flamenquín de jamón al estilo de Cordoba and a hearty cocido cordobés.
Number 5. Visit patios and wander the streets. Much of the beauty and charm of Cordoba can only be taken in by wandering the streets, and in particular the oldest neighborhoods of the city, which are filled with historic sites, beautiful patios and hanging flower pots, and shops and restaurants. The Jewish quarter of Cordoba is an important district of the city and is considered a UNESCO World Heritage Site. We wandered along the Calle de los Judíos and other parts of this neighborhood where the Jewish community resided in the 10th or 15th centuries until driven out during the Spanish Inquisition. In the Jewish quarter, only one of 3 synagogues that exist in Spain today has been preserved. We meandered through the streets to view this synagogue, and the El Zoco Artisan Market, where you can view beautiful patio and workshops of the artisans. Along the way, we viewed the magnificent bronze statue dedicated to Maimonides, the great Jewish philosopher and a doctor from Cordoba. We also walked the famous Calle de las Flores, the charming little street which everyone who visits Cordoba comes to visit. The San Basilio Quarter was built in the 14th century to house the service staff of the royal fortress. Today it is best known for the many patios that are included in the yearly Courtyards Festival. Patios, also known as courtyards, were originally built to provide a place of relief and shelter for the intense summer heat. But over time they evolved into miniature oases, filled with bright flowers, tropical plants, delicate water features, comfortable furniture, and eclectic decoration. During the festival, inhabitants freely welcome all visitors to admire their beauty and the skill involved in their patio creation. In the city, there is a special patio set aside to honor all those who work to create and maintain these beautiful patios of Cordoba. Heading to the city center, we encountered the remains of a Roman temple, which is located next to the town hall. It is a reflection of the passage of the Romans through this city. Not far from the Roman temple is the Palace of Viana. This impressive palace is surrounded by 12 splendid patios and a marvelous garden. A stunning variety of flower plants decorate every nook and cranny of this splendid museum. There is also an optional tour for the inside of the palace. which houses a wide range of collections. In addition to the flower-filled patios and streets, Cordoba is filled with streets and courtyards lined with orange trees, making the city a joy to walk through.
Wow, what a wonderful 3 days we've had here in this charming city of Cordoba. Wandering the narrow streets, seeing the romantic patios, feasting our eyes on the color of this beautiful city. Mahalo for tagging along with us. So until next time.
Até a próxima!
And aloha!